Welcome to Vnews. Let's start with today's headlines.
Party General Secretary Ttxvn to visit China. Prime Minister Ttxvn arrived in Kiev, beginning his 3-day official visit to Ukraine. M&A activities are seen as a good choice for banks to develop their strength and earn more experience towards sustainable development. The worst floods in decades have killed hundreds of people in Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam.
General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam Central Committee, Ttxvn, will pay an official visit to China from October 11th till October 15th. The visit will be made following an invitation by Hu Jintao, General Secretary of the Communist Party and the President of People's Republic of China. Prime Minister Ttxvn arrived in Kiev on October 4th, beginning his 3-day official visit to Ukraine at the invitation of Prime Minister Mykola Azarov.
A welcome ceremony was solemnly held at Boryspil International Airport. Prime Minister Ttxvn's official visit to Ukraine aims to implement the agreement on development of the comprehensive cooperation and partnership between the two countries. It is also to discuss orientations and specific measures to accelerate cooperation in economics, trade, investment, science, technology, education and training between Vietnam and Ukraine. In recent years, Vietnam and Ukraine have maintained and developed their traditional friendship. The two sides signed a joint statement on developing comprehensive cooperation and partnership and agreed on a number of measures to promote bilateral ties during an official visit to Vietnam by President Viktor Yanukovych in March this year. The same day, Prime Minister Ttxvn visited the Vietnamese embassy and met with embassy staff. The Prime Minister also met with the Vietnamese community, affirming the overseas Vietnamese community is an indispensable part of the nation. He said the party and state of Vietnam always pay attention to the overseas Vietnamese community, including those in the Ukraine. The Prime Minister praised their contributions to maintaining, strengthening and developing the traditional friendship and comprehensive cooperation between the two countries. He urged them to unite and provide mutual help for stable lives and legal and efficient business operations and to preserve national cultural identity and make contributions to the homeland.
Minister of Public Security Trần Đại Quang held talks with visiting Belarusian Minister of Emergency Situations Vladimir Vashenko in Hanoi on October 5th.
At the talks, Minister Vashenko reiterated Belarus' commitment of maintaining and developing close relations with Vietnam's Public Security Ministry in all fields. The two sides informed each other about the situation of security and order in their respective country and exchanged views on international and regional issues of mutual concerns. The two ministers spoke highly of bilateral cooperation in the recent past and discussed possibilities to strengthen cooperation in personnel training and scientific research in fire prevention and fighting.
Vietnam is one of the countries that the International Atomic Energy Agency gives priority to in the cooperation in the nuclear energy field.
The agency's General Director Yukiya Amano made the information at a meeting with the Ministries of Science and Technology on October the 4th in Hanoi. At the meeting, the two sides discussed efforts to ensure safety in using nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. Amano spoke highly of Vietnam's efforts in deploying nuclear energy application to serve socio-economic development, expressing his belief that Vietnam will be successful soon in the field. He also pledged to closely cooperate with Vietnam in the construction of its first nuclear power plant, as well as in the training of human resources and technical assistance.
On October 4th, the Ministry of Planning and Investment organized a workshop to consult international donors about the 2011 and 2015 socioeconomic plan.
Addressing the function, Minister of Planning and Investment Bùi Quang Vinh stressed the importance of the building of the 5-year socio-economic plan. Thus, it requires opinions and recommendations from donors, ministries, agencies, localities, and enterprises, he said. The overall target of the 5-year plan will give priority to curbing inflation, stabilizing the macroeconomy, and maintaining reasonable growth associated with economic restructuring and facilitating sustainable development by 2015.
On the issue of macroeconomic management, we welcome that the most of main elements and pending issues in terms of macroeconomic management, and particularly the need to restore stability very quickly, and also structural reforms are already captured in the revised SCDP. We find descriptions of targets and steps toward implementing these targets are reasonably clear, and the draft SCDP sets right proposals and directions for macroeconomic management.
Most donors supported a reasonable growth rate of 6.5% over the next 5 years instead of 7%, which would allow the country to improve social protection policies, increase basic services for the poor and the most vulnerable, and create more jobs. The draft will receive further comments on international donors before being finalized and submitted to the National Assembly at the end of October.
M&A activities in the banking sector has been present in Vietnam since 1999, but it was not until recently that the sector has seen a notable liftoff.
The period from 1999 to 2004 saw 11 M&A deals, most of which were mergers of weak banks at the instruction of the State Bank of Vietnam. After 2005, mergers between domestic banks remained few and far between. The biggest and most recent deal was the merging of the Post Saving Service Company and the Liên Việt Bank to become the Liên Việt Post Joint-Stock Commercial Bank. The deal helped increase the charter capital of Liên Việt Post Bank by nearly 5 trillion Vietnamese đồng. On the other hand, the sector sees an increase in acquisition activities, with investors at home and abroad having invested or bought stakes in domestic commercial banks, becoming their strategic stakeholders. Recently, Mizuho Corporate Bank, an affiliate of Japan's Mizuho Financial Group, signed a contract to buy 15% stake in the Joint-Stock Commercial Bank for Foreign Trade of Vietnam, worth $567.3 million. This is an important event in restructuring and improving the operations of finance and banking sector in Vietnam. It is also a step to restructure the economy and improve its operations. The signing of a contract opens up a business cooperation opportunity for both sides. It is also in conformity with the current trend of the economy. This is competition together with association. As the State Bank of Vietnam raised requirements on banks' charter capital, M&A activities are seen as a trend of choice for banks to develop their strength and earn more experience towards sustainable development.
The Ttxvn Trading and Investment Corporation on October 5th inaugurated the first phase of the petroleum dock warehouse at Cái Mép Industrial Park in the southern province, Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu.
The completed facilities include a system of tanks with a capacity of 18,000 cubic meters to serve the Dung Quất oil refinery. The first phase had a total investment of 420 billion Vietnamese đồng. At the beginning of next year, Ttxvn will deploy the project's second phase. Once completed, the dock warehouse will be capable of storing up to 200,000 cubic meters of petroleum. The annual throughput of the dock warehouse is expected to reach 3 million cubic meters.
And lastly, the worst flood in decades have stricken the Southeast Asian region and killed hundreds of people in Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam.
In Thailand, an estimated 224 people have died in the floods, which was considered the worst in the country in the past 5 decades. 58 out of 77 provinces in Thailand were submerged and millions of people are being affected. The Thai government has sent 10,000 soldiers and 500 military vehicles, along with 100 boats, to the flooded areas to provide assistance to local people. Meanwhile, in Cambodia, the number of deaths during floods in the Mekong River and flash floods climbed to 164 by October the 4th. Almost 216,000 households were affected, 15 cities and about 291,000 hectares of agricultural land were flooded. At present, the water level on the Mekong River continues to rise, especially in the provinces of Stung Treng and Kratie and Phnom Penh capital. Rising water levels in the Mekong have also resulted in the death of 5 people in Vietnam's Mekong Delta, together with more than 496 billion Vietnamese dongs in total losses from submerged crops and damaged houses and infrastructure.
We've come to the end of our program today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.